Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kari, and today I thought we would do a little 5-star prediction video. So I have 6 books that I'm predicting. I'm going to give all of these books 5 stars. They all have an element that just says to me, that's a 5-star book. So I thought I would go through these books with you today, and then once I read these books, we'll come back and see, was I right? First on this list, we have Fruit of the Dead by Rachel Lyon. This follows an 18-year-old camp counselor and doesn't have the greatest relationship with her mom, who's back in New York City. So she's really happy to get away and be a camp counselor. And then one day, one of the fathers of the children at this camp that she's a counselor at, he offers her to come work for his family to like be a nanny for the kid. And this family is super rich. Like they have a private island. And she's like, yeah, that sounds great. I don't want to go back home to my mom in New York. That sounds great. But then when she gets there, she has to sign an NDA. But at the same time, she's getting this like luxury lifestyle. She's living in the lap of luxury, literally. And she's getting all these really fabulous gifts. And so she's just kind of letting it happen. And this is actually a contemporary retelling of the Persephone and Demeter story, which I've actually never read a contemporary retelling of any myth story, but that's actually not what's selling me on it. It's really the plot that's selling me, and it's just kind of like a little perk that I get to read a contemporary retelling of a myth for the first time. This actually just came out very recently, and I'm really looking forward to reading it, and I absolutely love this cover. I actually bought this book in a recent vlog where I went to Shakespeare & Company here in Paris, so if you want to check that out, I'll link it down in the description. Speaking of that vlog, another book that I bought at Shakespeare & Company that day is The Extinction of Irena. This book is about 8 translators who arrive at the author's house of the book that they're supposed to be translating, and the house is in a forest in Belarus, so it's super isolated. And this book that they're there to translate is supposed to be this woman's magnum opus, but then one day the author just disappears. And so these 8 translators, they're all translating to 8 different languages, and they're obsessed with this author, like they really revere her, and so they go out to figure out where did she go. I've heard really good things about this book, and I'm really looking forward to getting to it because I love books about language, and I feel like the fact that this follows 8 translators is gonna have a pretty big emphasis on language, I feel like. And I've just heard nothing but good things about this book, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. Next we have The Disenchantment by Celia. This is actually historical fiction set at the court of Louis XIV at the Chateau de Versailles. We follow this woman who's really unhappy in her marriage, so obviously there were a lot of like business deal marriages at this time just to join 2 houses. No one was really getting married for actual love at this time. So we follow this woman in this unhappy marriage, and we start to see how she's becoming really attached to this other woman at court. So while our narrator is really confined to court life and she just follows the rules, she does what she's supposed to do at court, this other woman that she starts to fall for is really liberated for a woman at that time. She's going to the salons and she's going to the parties and everything, and our main character becomes really fascinated with this woman. If you've been on my channel before, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but I'm obsessed with the Chateau de Versailles and all the history connected to it, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I think it's going to be so good, and based on the blurb, I think it gets into all the like black magic and poison and everything that was happening at this time, so I think it's going to be really, really good. Next we have Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami, and this is translated from the Japanese. So this story follows Toru and Naoko, who I think that they're dating, and one of their best friends dies, and the story follows how each of them deal with the passing of one of their best friends. So this one, it's not really the plot that's telling me that I think I'm going to love this, it's the fact that I've heard over and over again that this book is really sad, and if you know me, you know that I love a sad book. I have seen that this book is extremely polarizing, that people either love it or hate it. Because of the little things that I've heard throughout the years, I think I'm going to love it, because if it's as sad as people say it is, I think it's for me. I think it's going to be a 5-star. I've actually never read any Haruki Murakami, so this would be the first thing that I read from him. Next we have The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. So this one obviously follows Rachel, and she works at a bookstore in New York City, and I think she becomes roommates with one of her friends that she meets at the bookstore. But then also at the same time, she's kind of falling for one of her professors at university, and it kind of becomes this like huge tangled web between Rachel, her roommate, the professor, the wife of the roommate. I don't know, it sounds really messy. It's kind of giving me Conversations with Friends vibes. I don't know if it's parallel to that or not, but those are the vibes that it's giving me. But I've heard really good things about this one. I think I'm going to love it because of those Conversations with Friends vibes that it's giving me. Next we have Stoner by John Williams. So this one follows our main character, William Stoner, and he's born into a really lower class family, but he works himself up in academia and becomes a professor of literature. But then I'm pretty sure that over time, a bunch of horrible things start happening to him. And so obviously, if you know my reading taste, like I was just talking talking about with Norwegian Wood. I love a sad story. And also, I love academic settings, so the fact that he's an English professor, that just is the cherry on top. I've heard insanely amazing things about this book. I think I'm going to love it because it's just a combination of so many different things that I love in a book. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. So these were my 6 5-star prediction books. I hope that I love them as much as I think that I'm going to. If you've enjoyed any of these 6 books, I would love to hear from you in a comment. Definitely let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would really appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you back for when I eventually get to these books and I'm able to see, was I right? Did I give these books 5 stars? And I'll talk to you again next time. Bye!